Yo, guys, this is Mo Vernie on the move. Today, I just recently hear the rumors from all the NBA news report that the New York Knicks is reaching out to LA Clippers and trying to see if they can make a deal one for one directly for Carmelo Anthony and for Blake Griffin. When I first heard it, I think the trade is fair. I mean, one on one, Carmelo and Blake Griffin, both superstars, both franchise players. The trade is a fair deal for both teams. There is not a major like lopsided trade or whether it's a salary dump. It's not. But the question here in doubt for me is that it make no sense for the LA Clippers. I just don't understand the logic of LA Clippers doing this trade, even though it is just being explored because Blake Griffin was basically the player that they drafted. And it's actually the player that turned the franchise around because beforehand, LA Clippers was basically a nobody, the major weaker link in LA compared to the Lakers. Blake Griffin was the corner building blocks that attract Chris Paul and attract other players and build around to make Clippers the most one of the competitive top team right now in the NBA. Having said that, having a power forward such as Blake Griffin giving you 21 points, 10 rebounds, maybe 2 blocks is actually pretty good. Although he's injured sometimes, but I think he played very well with Chris Paul. And I've been in LA Staples Center watching Clippers, Blake Griffin versus Minnesota Timberwolves back in November. I mean, the pick and roll between Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, the chemistry there is amazing, and it's very deadly. And to be honest, I don't think Blake Griffin is a player that can create his own shots. So he really relies on the positioning where the ball is feeding to him by the point guard. If he's traded to New York Knicks, unless the New York Knicks are going to sign a major superstar point guard, I just don't see a guy like Raymond Felton or anybody who's playing on the Knicks team will able to help Blake Griffin. So Blake Griffin will become kind of a less important player on the Knicks team. And then you have all these staggering of power forwards in on the Knicks team, like what Amari Stoudemire, Tyson Chandler, Blake Griffin. Unless you're gonna amnesty or trade them, it make no sense for the New York Knicks. And I just think that LA Clippers clearly need a third option. And I do think that they need a starting small forward because right now, Jamal Crawford, JJ Redick, Matt Barnes, these are players that are not really consistent number three options. They're great, like coming off the bench, but I clearly don't think that they should trade Blake Griffin to have a starting small forward. They should build around Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and try to get a third option at the plane to upgrade a small forward. Now, New York Knicks, out of desperation, they basically would trade for everybody. And now I really don't think Carmelo Anthony want to stay in New York because although he is the main problem, because he likes isolation, he paused the ball a lot, he is not going to play a lot of ball movement, run and gun kind of game. And the reason why New York are not going anywhere, part of the reason is Carmelo himself. But he's still a great scorer, averaging 26 points a game. I just don't think he want to stay. When he's an option to leave, he's not going to stay here to look at the mess or waste his time seeing another year of losing season by the New York Knicks. So I do see that the New York Knicks are desperately trying to unload him so that they can get something in return. But at this point, I don't think LA Clippers and the New York Knicks for Blake Griffin and Carmelo makes sense for LA Clippers. So I hope LA Clippers will not make this trade because guys like Blake Griffin are needed for the Clippers to go deep into the playoffs because Western Conference, there are a lot more taller rebounders, centers in the Western Conference. Like Blake Griffin are needed to play against teams like Minnesota Timberwolves, like Kevin Love, or Grizzlies, Memphis Grizzlies, Seth Randolph, Marc Gasol, or Lakers, Pau Gasol. You need a big, solid guy like him. If you trade Blake Griffin, who are you going to come back with from the Knicks? Unless you're going to take some guy like Tyson Chandler. But then it's kind of redundant with DeAndre Jordan. But you're not going to take on Amari Stoudemire, which basically his season with the New York Knicks are basically done with his career. So it makes no sense for the LA Clippers, and I hope that Clippers doesn't make that trade. If you like what I said, what's your opinion on this, about this trade rumor? Subscribe to Mo Vernie, and Mo Vernie's out here.